and down to the lake shore. Or at least, where it used to be. Yep, that lake is bone dry. Well, this
You
part
brought
of
a
it is anyway.
fucking kayak.
I don't know what problems that's going to pose. Maybe I can just walk across. Welcome back, everyone, to the GeoWizard channel, the home of the mischievous adventure, where today we see the return of the infamous straight line mission, a relentless, often grueling form of expedition in which the subject has to walk, swim, kayak, sneak, slide, and negotiate their way from A to B in a scrupulously straight line, overcoming any obstacle that may get in his or her way.
This is suicide.
With 2 straight line mission attempts across Wales under my belt, clocking in at just over 50 miles and at least a couple of dozen hairy situations, I'm now fairly experienced at my trade. The only problem is, I haven't actually succeeded yet. In Wales 1, a mixture of poor planning, bad weather and no phone signal forced me off the perilous Glasgow mountain, and a serious health issue for Welsh Greg cut our gallant second effort to cross Wales heartbreakingly short, something we immediately decided to rectify by penciling in Scotland 2021. But I couldn't wait that long. After 2 failures, I was hungrier than ever to prove to the world and to myself that I can cross a country in a straight line. So, one day in late July, I decided that I was going to travel to one of the only countries in Europe that I think is physically possible to cross in a straight line in the summer. Norway. I know what you're thinking. Norway is Wales on steroids. What makes you think you can conquer Norway if you can't even manage Wales? Well, firstly, I was confident that I'd actually discovered a route across Norway that was potentially doable and not completely lethal. And secondly, I was going to study, survey and scrutinise this unknown terrain so meticulously that not only would I have a good chance of not dying, but a real chance at success.
I've never
As well
seen
as
one of these before.
a perfectly plotted line, I would need a few other things to slot into place for this ambitious plan to work. There was a kayak, paddle and life jacket waiting for me in Trondheim.
This is so sick, though. It's like a guy who would play GeoGuessr online, and he was like, fuck that shit. Let's just do it in real life.
Thanks to longtime fan Marius. And I did have a readily available sidekick in Verity, who I would need to help me transport the kayak around the remote...
That's like a person who plays RuneScape just becoming really fucking dope with an axe. And just chopping logs for his living.
Inaccessible landscape, as well as potentially call the emergency services if I didn't show up at the allotted time. All I needed now was for the weather to improve, mainly to prevent the Norwegian version of this from happening.
We're at 3:34.
August, it was straight onto our connecting flight to Trondheim.
Nolan, no chance.
I do hope you enjoyed this rather short flight from Amsterdam to Trondheim.
Get in. There it is.
At the airport, we checked into a hotel at 11:30 p.m. with a view to get up super early, get the 8 a.m. train
I just
into
responded to him.
Trondheim, collect the rental car.
So I guess the idea of this, I've never seen one of these series before. I like watching his GeoGuessr stuff, but he just walks in a straight line.
Meet Marius, strap the kayak on, and drive 7
Regardless
hours
of
up
obstacles.
the E6 to the start point, 40 miles south of the Arctic Circle. If we could get there by about 3 or 4 p.m. on the Tuesday, we could scout out the area, transport the kayak to the ideal position on the lake, and find a good spot to camp ready
Aren't all lines straight?
for the morning so that I could be well on my way before Thursday's rain came in. What could go wrong? Well, firstly, en route to Trondheim, I stepped off the train at the wrong station to see where we were, only for the train to swiftly pull away, leaving me stranded in nearby Liangen.
How do you choke that?
How you doing?
Nothing.
Got a little lost. But in the end, it didn't even matter, as the car rental place had delayed the pickup time until midday, meaning by the time we'd driven across town to meet Marius, who secured his sturdy camouflage kayak onto our roof with expert precision.
This is a trick I learned in the Special Forces.
It was almost 2 p.m.
Yeah, I'm gonna need it. So, thanks. Okay, that's done. To the camping shop. As if we haven't wasted enough time already. Oh God.
So the 7-hour drive was underway, and it was going to be a long one for Verity.
Stop.
My mom's the worst driver in cities. My mom gets into a city like Boston, freaks the fuck out. Every red light is a life or death situation. Thank you for the host, buddy.
That is epic. The main thing I'm nervous about is just how steep are some of the bits gonna be, some of the gradients. Hopefully I've got my calculations right. And if I have, and I just sail through, not sail through, that would be boring, but if I get through it without any complications, I will be absolutely over the moon. I'll be the happiest man on earth. But if I fail,
This reminds me
and
of
it's just deathly drops everywhere,
Ewan
not only is it
McGregor.
going to be dangerous.
You would do something similar with a motorcycle.
I'm going to be devastated.
As we entered northern Norway, the driving got even more spectacular.
Whoa.
But so
Long
did
Way
our need
Round.
to
Yeah, I love
eat,
that series.
And stopping to do so meant that by the time we reached the stunning Ranfjord just south of Mo i Rana, what little darkness they get up
Where is he
there was
asleep?
slowly but surely creeping in. And by the time it was time to go off-road, it was pretty dark.
Oh, that's thin.
Oh my God. That was mental.
Wait, how is he bringing? He has a kayak. I don't think he's bringing his car.
But 200 meters down the road, we were faced with this.
Deer. Oh.
Slight issue.
Oh, God.
That's blocked off.
We
Yeah,
had
bro.
no idea why, but evidently someone didn't want any cars traveling any further down this track. Luckily, it did look like there was another very long way around to the lake. So, slightly spooked out and pretty concerned for the well-being of this trip, we headed for it.
Right, let's hope to God we can get to the lake this way.
Just make another straight line. Easy. 5
We would have to wait until the morning to find out whether there was actually a path that led from the small gravel car park we were aiming for, presumably used by the occasional resident of these remote cabins, down to the eastern part of the lake. Right now, we'd be glad just to make it to the car park.
Okay.
So he hasn't even started the challenge. He's just
Find
trying to
the
get
road that
to
leads
the
to the
place
reservoir.
to start it.
But it says private private road, which is not good because it means we're not welcome here in some way or another.
Over 2 miles of narrow, winding track later, we did reach the car park, only to discover that it was almost completely full of cars.
This is really creepy.
Slightly freaked out but in need of sleep, we pulled up under the now drizzling clouds, a bit deflated.
Yeah, I did, Gilly. Wild.
Not the best situation we're in now.
I'm pretty sure this is how
It all
Midsommar
seems
started.
Pretty inaccessible and private around here. I don't know. Maybe
Just
it's
like-
just the fact that it's night that we're just stressing out, but we'll see how we are in the morning. Tomorrow's a new day. This is the low. Hopefully tomorrow the rain stops and we'll be somehow feeling high. See you there.
Spoilers, he dies. Damn, then this voiceover is
In
crazy.
the morning, an information placard reassured us that there was indeed a path that led through the flat area of land between these two hills and straight down to the lake. So, pretty confident that there was no way Plan A could fail, we packed up the gear, whisked the kayak down, and prepared ourselves for a bit of a slog.
Damn, all of
Confident
this.
now that
He's doing literally the least fun parts of traveling to a country. Like, that's the whole thing. It's just like the not fun part.
we weren't treading
This is
on
the part
anybody's
everybody
toes
hates.
by being here, and that the weather hadn't taken a turn for the worse.
Driving
I
to it,
felt like
fucking
I could
dark
actually
out,
relax
lost,
and
walking
soak
with all
up
heavy
this
shit.
alien landscape, despite the tennis elbow.
Wonder if they're edible. You right back there, darling?
Just about.
Verity struggled, but frequent stops and a bit of dragging from me got us through.
Her name's Verity. That's
Right
fire.
past these confusingly remote cabins and down to the lake shore. Or at least where it used to be.
Yep, that lake is bone dry. Well, this
You
part
brought a
of it is anyway.
fucking kayak.
I don't know what problems that's going to pose. Maybe I can just walk across that bit. Nah, there'll be some water, won't there?
Yeah.
But the question is, how easy will it be to get in and out of the kayak if it's marshy? Only one way to find out.
Turns out Google Maps not
On a
God.
closer inspection, there was an actual body of water further south in the lake bed. But whether I'd be crossing it on my way down from my start point on the mountainside was unclear. I was more concerned with how this massive drop in the water level might affect proceedings a bit further round the corner.
Oh God, yeah, no.
The answer was quite drastically. Pretty much this whole first stretch of water was now land. But more detrimentally,
Wow.
this steep peninsula here, which Verity was originally going to meet me at and paddle around whilst I climbed over, was now surrounded by land. A quick scout out confirmed that this whole eastern section of the lake was now entirely cut off from the main part.
That is such an
making
L.
that plan impossible.
Is this because
Instead,
global
we
warming?
would have to lug the kayak over the
How does
peninsula
global warming
and
work?
all the newly formed land that surrounded it, which no doubt was going to be very difficult and very time-consuming. The only upside was that I didn't kayak 6 miles around the long way, only to find that my passage was completely blocked off. But we still had a long day ahead of us, and with that in mind, we returned to the kayak, got some much-needed food down our necks, and I set sail for the start point.
Let's go. Let's go.
How we doing, everyone? Hope we've been keeping well.
Good.
Look at this. That is Norway. Isn't it stunning? And that is Sweden. In fact, I'm currently standing on Swedish ground. Over here is the border somewhere. Right here.
Should they have like people at the border? Be like, hey, this is fucking Sweden. You gotta stay away, man. It's Sweden. No, it's EU. Hey, around here, okay? Make sure that it's us in this country. And that's what I believe in.
Right on top of these rather lethal looking mushrooms, which hopefully isn't a bad omen. You know the score. I intend to
Imagine a giant fucking wall there in the middle of nowhere.
walk that way in a completely straight line, come what may, in an attempt.
Hey there, lad. I've been watching you for almost a year now. In September, my uncle died to cancer. Your streams and YouTube videos have helped me through these
Holy
tough
shit.
times.
Run on
Thanks, lad.
sentence, bro. I thought you said he died because of my streams from cancer from watching them, but I am sad to hear that your uncle died, my man. That blows. Happens though. You know, you'll be more powerful through it. More humorous. Thank you very much for the $5 though, Kieran.
To cross the breathtaking, dramatic scenery that makes up Norway's terrain.
I am saying that I think that they should have someone who like tracks it. Because what if 100,000 people traveled from Norway to Sweden in this area? Then the whole population count would be wrong.
In a completely straight line. Now this time, we're not going to have farmers, we're not going to have barbed wire fences, we're not going to have hedges. But what we are going to have is a huge lake,
Exactly.
which I'm going to have to paddle my way across, a rather steep looking dam, and then a series of steep wooded mountainsides and ravines packed with a plethora of unknown species and plants for me to traipse my way through before finally, hopefully in one piece, descending the final mountain into the village of Hauknes and down to the Mo i Rana fjord. It's going to be sketchy at times. I'm going to need to be on my most diligent, smartest behavior. There's going to be some steep drops.
I'm an American major. He's speaking British. I speak English. It's different.
that I'm going to need to watch out for. And if it's too unsafe, I'm going to have to go round them. But hopefully, if my calculations are correct,
by no more than 25 meters. Should we do this? Let's do it.
It would be weird to back out.
Okay, there we are. Bang on our start point. Let's go.
Is this just a GPS that tracks how
Straight
where it goes?
away, it's rocks. Big boulders, slabs, things I'm gonna have to climb up and down. And a massive sheet of snow. Would you look at that? Yeah, this is gonna be wildly different to the Wales trips, just so you know. Worlds apart.
This must take so
Time
long.
to step on some snow
Norway's big.
in August. Look at that. That's definitely a first. On we go. Up the next little hillside.
He did this in a week.
And up here, we should have spectacular views of the line ahead. Look at this. Oh my goodness. That's where we're heading.
Oh, he did the skinniest point. I see.
Straight down the arrow of that lake to the dam. There's a fair bit to do before we reach that first lake and a fair few meters to descend. So let's keep our eye on the ball.
Yeah, I wonder what he
We could
does
see
do to
bears
pass
out
the
here.
time.
You never know, that would be really cool. And our first little drop, first of many, I presume. And with stuff like this, I can just kind of shimmy my way down. Whoop! So far, I'd managed to stick to the line to the absolute meter by constantly monitoring the GPS. But it soon became clear how stupid I'd have to be to try and continue in that fashion. That looks slippy. Oh my goodness. Oh!
He choked already. It's over.
And I'm dead. Do you know what I mean? I've got to be careful today. It is very easy for me to fall off a cliff on this route that I've picked.
Too slippy
it
and
is the
Nintendo
best
will
route,
file a lawsuit.
I think, across Norway. But as you can see, it's
Run
I mean,
over.
Look at the place. It's never going to be straightforward. 50 yards later, I found myself faced with a couple of obstacles that were on a slightly larger scale. Ugh, it's not great. Nothing that promised to send me plummeting to my death, but definitely high enough to break an ankle and wide enough to deter me from going around them. There we go.
Dude, this is
I got myself over these ones
this is like Into the Wild.
eventually, but there would be much bigger things to come.
You
and I would
trip
need
and
to
it's
choose
game
my
over.
routes very wisely. For now, though, at least, the rock climbing was over. Oh my god. Wow. Bit of forest to do, and then it's over that swampy, semi-dried out lake bed, which I can tell you from the journey up here
This
is going to be good fun.
Into the Wild was real.
Beautiful smell in these woods of the various plants,
Thanks to
and
$10 sad machine.
mushrooms and herbs and
I actually
flowers
have all
that
the
are
gis
just
and mapping
flourishing
from ahead
in
of
these
his trip to
long
Norway.
summer
Check my
days.
VODs if you don't believe
It's
me,
really,
smile.
really new to me.
That's Pog Sad Machine. A member of chat did all the mapping. That's cool. Where does he respawn?
Right, now I can tell you from the journey up here that this is boggy.
He makes his own music. That's kind of goated.
It's kind of worryingly deep at times. Oh shit.
No.
Oh no.
Oh no.
That's not good. Oh, I'm stuck.
Oh
Pull
my
me in.
god.
That is dodgy. Anyway, that might be the muddiest bit, but it's not the wettest. You'll see what I mean in a sec.
Water's wet.
I went round it before, but there's no avoiding it this time. Here it is. The eagle-eyed among you may have seen it from up there, snaking its way through this boggy, sedimenty ground.
It's
Oh,
such
man.
a fucking
There's
silly
no-
challenge. Just walk around. You can't.
There's the mud. Shit. There's the mud, old boy. My goodness, new shoes as well. Hey, I've got some new shoes on and I've ruined them straight away.
Hey,
Okay,
Coaster, make
how
that
do
a
we
beat.
do this, man? How do we do this?
chuck my bag over, I think, and just
Getting
go for
wet
it.
fucks up
Can I
your
chuck
whole
my bag
day.
that far? Let's hope so. Oh God, just about.
5 head, get naked.
Am I going to get stuck here? Okay, I've chucked my jacket over as well. GPS system's going over.
Is that gonna? Fair enough. 2007
Can I
YouTube.
really do this?
Just get naked.
I honestly don't know if I can. I might get stuck. Look at that. I'm stuck. Am I stuck? Okay, this is going over.
He's getting naked.
Okay, that one's out.
Oh yeah, he could just get
This is
stuck in
so
the
deep,
mud.
man.
That's kind of terrifying.
I don't know. I've always had this worry about sinking so deep that you just, you know, it swallows you up. I guess it's from stories of quicksand. I mean, this is deep. Shit. Okay, it's actually a hard edge.
Somewhere between Monka W and
It's just the
Gatchy Base.
uncertainty. Well, there you go. It was up to my pecker. Already we've had some right old palavers. Come on.
With my clothes back on and the GPS rescued, it was a quick run over this much firmer area of the lake bed
There's nothing.
Running.
and down to the shore. But was the kayak still there?
Of course it is, you twat.
Fuck you! You're the
Feet
one that
already
made me.
soaking wet, I pushed the boat out to where the water was more than 6 inches deep
There we go, that'll do.
and clambered in.
I wonder if I'm better off just having it there. That is probably better, isn't it? Yeah. Right, off we go then. Back to Verity and on to the next section. There we go, I think we're away. We're floating. We're floating.
Just about though. This miniature lake, later dubbed the Great Puddle, was so shallow that I easily could have walked across it, the water reaching no higher than my knees.
Fuck. Nearly went in then. I honestly think if I fell in this puddle of a lake, it's more danger of me banging my head than drowning. It's honestly, I could have walked over the thing.
On the bright side, the baby pool was a good place for me to get to grips with this much wider sit-on-top kayak and perfect my technique, because later on, I'd need it.
Oh god.
No sooner had I reached maximum knottage than arrived at the only beach that I've ever wished didn't exist.
There it is. First section done. The Great Puddle.
Reunited with Verity, who gave me a quick brushing down, we set about transporting the kayak over to the peninsula and beyond. On the sand or mud, I could drag the kayak without
He's
damaging
prepping
it.
for his next
Over the
journey
rocks
in
though,
March. I can't say
we would
where
have
it
to
is, but it
carry
is
the
going to be
30
a busy.
kilogram kayak,
Please check
and in
out
doing
Tom's
so we ran the
Patreon
risk
course. He
of
does a lot
tripping
hard
or
work
slipping
for these
and
trips.
damaging not only the kayak but ourselves.
Shit. Nearly fell.
Turns out this beach is owned by
Oh,
a
wow.
rather hefty dog who threatened to chase me off my line.
Yeah, he's got a Patreon.
Should I help you over this bit?
Why is there a dog?
But in the end, he was fairly satisfied with us heading west,
He's following the line.
where the beach gave way to this even smaller pool.
Cabins?
This time too shallow to drown a small field mouse, let alone kayak across.
Veering off to the right a bit, need to go left.
Verity walked around and got lost before rejoining me to help get the kayak over these last rocks and over this small canyon.
Oh shit. Oh my god. Oh god. This is a different Verity. This is a different Verity in chat. I accidentally banned the Verity in chat. My bad. Well, I saw there was someone named Verity in chat, and so I looked them up to see their logs, and I accidentally clicked the ban button.
Oh, cheers.
My bad, Verity. My bad.
Nice. Go on.
Good
Yay.
jump.
Okay, so coming up the aforementioned chunk of land that we've got to get this over, and it's not land like this. It's got trees, it's got little drops and boulders and cliffs. How we're going to do it is, I'm going to be keeping to the line, of course, and I'm going to be dragging the kayak when I can, but when I can't, when it's a drop, Verity's going to drag it round, aren't you? That's how we're going to do it. There are houses up here. We're going very close to these summer houses, so maybe someone will say hello. Who knows?
Aren't you? Aren't you, Verity? You're gonna, right? You better.
Just get this on here.
Oh my God.
As predicted, it was hard.
Okay.
Immediately.
This is mad.
Straight line missioning through Norway.
Soon, though, we were out of the Nordic jungle and up onto much flatter, roomier ground where straight away our plan could be put to the test.
I need to go over this cliff now,
Right.
and you need to drag around, I think.
Okay, yeah.
The line is going over there.
So I need to drag
So
it round.
just
to
go
the right.
round, yeah.
Okay.
See you around there.
Man, shout out to Verity.
Hello. What's that then? Hot tub?
100 yards to go on the peninsula, and it seemed
I don't think
that
he's
the
going where
line
no
wanted
one's
to
gone before. I mean, there's literally a hot tub he just passed. So
take me right past one of the summer houses. Technically, I wasn't trespassing, but I think it's safe to say that anyone peering out the window picturing themselves in the wilderness well and truly had their moment ruined. It was hard to care at the time, though, because up next was a fairly sharp final descent down to what looked like
Natural,
another
bro.
endless stretch of lake bed.
natural hot
To
spring.
reach it safely, Verity would have to lug the kayak down into this little gorge while I clambered down the rocks.
Oh yeah.
The plan had worked.
Nice one.
We could now properly wince at the gigantic boulder field that lay ahead of us.
Wow, look at this.
There was still a lot to do, but at least we'd successfully managed to transport the kayak over the peninsula without damaging it or ourselves.
A little early. Called it a little early.
Well, at least one of us had.
I've banged my elbow, but I think I'm all right.
I would need 2 strong elbows for the dreaded kayak ahead. But for now, it was time to tackle this.
Oh no.
Wonder how many straight line missions will consist of this. Dragging a kayak through mud. Looks like I'm gonna have to kayak over that island bit in the middle. First glimpse here of the lake. We're nearly there.
That lake
Looks a
seems
little
miserable.
bit choppy, but not too bad.
With Verity dragging the kayak around this last cluster of rocks, it felt like we were finally putting this alien planet-like landscape behind us.
How does Verity go away?
a
Or like
bizarre
get out of
day.
there, I mean.
A bizarre day so far. A real adventure. Who would have thought a lake this big could dry up? But we're here. We're at the edge of where the
she
lake
has to walk
actually
all the way back
starts.
to the car.
On the plus side,
/
less of
spawn.
it for me to kayak.
And there it was, the actual reservoir. A relieving sight in one way, as it marked the end of the mission across Mars, but in other ways a dreaded sight.
That's tough.
An endless horizon of oncoming waves. Above them, a relentless rain-spattered headwind which sent Vernwy-esque pangs of angst coursing through my veins.
You could surf
I'm
that.
not looking forward to this.
Big waves.
Despite the receded shoreline, I still had well over 5 miles to paddle, at points almost a mile from the nearest shoreline. But it would be no picnic for Verity either. She'd have to navigate her way back across Jupiter and all the way back to the car
That's what
before
I was
driving
thinking.
9
Yeah.
miles round to the dam at the
Jesus.
far end of the reservoir, if the road wasn't blocked off. Overall, though, not only was I satisfied with how close I'd kept to the line thus far, but I was satisfied that what we both had to do next was doable and fairly hazard-free. However, this is me we're talking about here, and sure enough, I'd failed to check one crucial thing.
Hole in the kayak?
Marius's bolt.
What?
A vital chunk of metal used to plug a 7mm hole in the back of the kayak. Make sure you screw this in, he warned us before we set off. I forgot once and the inside of the boat slowly filled up with water and I almost sank.
That'll all be gone when we get back.
Was I destined for a similar situation? Tune into part 2 to find out.
Oh my God. Anyway, that was GeoWizard. Check out his Patreon. Boom, 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 boom. Hold up. Let me actually, I'm going to join his Patreon. I have a Patreon. I think I'm a Patreon on Slime's podcast still. All right, I'm paged up. Part 2. You want to do part 2 right now? Part 2 right now? Okay, but you're not going to ask for part 3 when part 2's done, right? Because we can't do all 2 hours today.